While those who openly denigrate the sacred symbols of religious people are given free rein to do as they please, we find that France's Muslim population and those critical of the French authority are not afforded the same freedom.
Really? How are they stopped? Tell me, in France, if a Muslim wants to go and criticize the government, how are they stopped? Explain that to me. How are they not given the same freedoms?
French mosques and Islamic schools are regularly shut down. Human rights activists
Okay. Regularly shut down. 73 mosques and Islamic schools closed by French authorities in 2020. So most of it was for temporary investigations because of their ties to radical groups. Okay, but to be fair, it's true that some of the closure was beyond just an investigation period, and might have been collective punishment and generalization. Again, this needs deeper dive into it, but it could be true that some of it was unjustified. I'm not sure. I need to do a deeper dive into it, but I'm not ruling it out completely. So I'm going to give you that. Okay, some of it, maybe, I do not know. Edris is saying, isn't it shirk to only be offended about Muhammad cartoons, but not cartoons from other prophets? No, that's not the definition of shirk. No, shirk has more to do with Allah than anything about the prophet.
Human rights activists who speak out against Islamophobia are subjected to assault by French authorities. Even charity workers...
Citation needed. But it might be true. Again, I'm not denying it, but citation needed. I would call it out as wrong if it was true. But I do not trust this as a source, though. But if it is true, then I will call it out. French police arrest head of Muslim NGO after raiding his house. Okay. I do not know the details of this, but Muslim NGOs have been a major source of some really shady activity. Okay, so just because this was a head of NGO, I don't know the details about this. It could be okay, it could be wrong, but just reading this headline should not convince you that something wrong happened. There has been a lot of Islamic NGOs that have been a hotbed for some really, really shady activities to ties to some terror groups. So police arresting, this is French police arresting. I'm going to go, if I was a betting man, I would bet on this being a justified arrest. Again, I can't be sure. You always have to be skeptical. But I would bet my money, if I was a betting man, that this was probably some legitimate, even if he's not guilty, like investigating some ties, I would bet that this was a justified arrest. Again, I could be wrong, but that's where I would bet my money.
In the Muslim sector are constantly monitored. And even
they should be they should be monitored, okay? These groups should be monitored, okay? Come on. There has been a lot of connection to a lot of really shady groups using freedom of religion, these ties, the money, where it's coming from, what are they teaching, monitoring, thank you. Please monitor them.
Imprisoned for shedding light.
You should if you care about not being collectively held responsible for the crimes of a few, you should be like, hey, French government, can you please come install cameras everywhere in my goddamn mosque? Because we don't want shady people here. Can you please, hey, there's some radicalism happening in our mosque or whatever. Can you please come monitor our mosque so that nobody is discouraged to come and use our groups? Like, we want to make sure that they're not welcome here. We want to make sure that nobody comes and does some shady stuff. So please come heavily monitor us. We're going to advertise to anybody that comes praying here that we're being heavily monitored so that we could keep the scum out of our mosque. You should want you should want your mosque to be heavily monitored. If you don't want, if that would just, you would be taking the excuse away from people to collectively hold you responsible if everything is transparent. So you should be welcoming that. Yeah, Darko, if your group is acting like a terror group, you should be monitored. Yeah, exactly.
On government abuse. And of course, French laws constantly dictate what Muslim women can and can't wear.
Okay, so Niqab banned in public, while hijab banned in schools and universities. Yeah, I mean, I done a lot of videos on this, and I actually endorse this. I think this. I wasn't sold on this before, but I understand that this is misused in a lot of instances. But overall, I think this is justified, both in Quebec and in France, as long as it's consistent, especially in schools and universities with every single religious symbol. As long as it's consistent, I don't see anything wrong with it. And face covering, if again with face coverings with the niqab, if they claims that this is a security concern, and if it's with every single face covering, if that is, I mean, I've seen that being justified that way, and again, I'm going to conditionally support that if that is true.
can and can't
Yeah,
wear.
niqab.
Does France's Muslim population
Again, this coming from a person that would ban women showing their skin on the beach. Okay, so the hypocrisy is through the roof. Okay, at least with the niqab, there's justification when it comes to security issues, right? And segregation, and all of that. And when it comes to public universities, not having religious symbols over there, I guess that is also there's some justification for it. But when it comes to the rules that these people will enforce, if they were in power, they will ban like women showing their skin or their hair if they had their way, and there's like zero justification for any of that. No. I mean, okay, so somebody's saying, don't you think clothing regulations in France simply justify the clothing justification in Muslim countries? No, because one could be justified with security issues and also making public and educational facilities religion free. One of them could be justified like that. The other one could not be justified. There is no harm from women having the liberty to show their skin. Again, I don't think hijab should be banned in public places, right? I don't think hijab should be banned in public places. But face covering, the niqab, I could see the justification. I could be convinced out of it if somebody wants to argue that with me. I'm not holding that position. I'm not married to that position. But based on what I've seen for right now, based on the arguments I've heard from right now I hold a position that the face covering, the niqab, is a security threat, and it's justified banning it. Not the hijab. The hijab I think should be allowed. But again, I'm willing to let go of this decision if somebody could prove to me that this is not a major security issue.
should not deserve the same right of freedom of speech as everyone else? Clearly not. This application of freedom of speech is nothing for France to boast about, nor is it.
Yeah, Katie's saying they banned the hijab only in schools and universities, which I endorse. Yeah, I think especially if it's public schools and universities. If it's I don't know. Yeah, again, right now I'm leaning towards it's being justified, but again, I'm not married to this. If somebody could convince me out of it, I will accept that. Right now, I think that's completely justified.
Anything a society should espouse to adopt. The right to insult and mock religious people will not lead to the advancement of society.
Yeah, so I think they should ban, especially if it's consistent, especially if it's not just Islamic religious symbols, if it's every single religious symbol. Like Sikhs shouldn't be, like if Muslims don't get to wear the hijab in universities, then Sikhs shouldn't be able to get the head covering, Christians shouldn't be able to have the cross, and Jews shouldn't be able to have the kippah, and none of it should be allowed. It should be completely consistent. If it's consistent, then it should be. I endorse it as well. Oh yeah, exactly. Here, Mansour, what is your view on Sikh turbans? Then yeah, it should. If the Muslims are not allowed to have that in schools and universities in France, then the Sikhs shouldn't be able to. Again, in public spaces, they should be able to do that.
Society, nor its liberation. Rather, it will only hasten society's decline and debasement. It threatens social cohesion and further bridges the divide between people. In 2019, a French report noted 1,043 Islamophobic incidents occurred. That's a 70.
Islamophobic. This term should be turned. Okay. I do not trust any organization that has Islamophobic right in their goddamn name. Again, I was happy that in Canada, when this term was used, there was such a major backlash. People said that you should use the term anti-Muslim bigotry. Yeah, this organization has the Islamophobe right in their goddamn name. Goddamn idiots. AGA is saying if I have to take off my motorcycle helmet, sunglasses, and other non-religious face covering to enter a bank, court, government building, then it should apply to religious ones as well. Yeah, guys, like saying that you don't get to have these and these types of buildings or government buildings or universities, this is not, this is just being consistent, and this is taking away religious privilege. This is not taking away religious freedom. This is taking away religious privilege, because these are just consistent laws that apply to other people as well. So yeah, exactly, AJ. That's the argument I hear from it, and that's why right now that's the position that I hold.
57% increase since 2017. This will, of course, only continue to worsen as France's leadership continues to defend the right to insult and abuse that which is sacred to religious people.
You guys, I hope understand that the freedom of speech would not be necessary if it wasn't the freedom to insult and offend, right? Like, we have been over this right now. Like, oh, freedom of speech. Well, really? But freedom of speech doesn't mean you shouldn't be able, you should have the freedom to offend and insult. Yeah, you wouldn't need freedom of speech if it didn't include the freedom of insult to offend. Do you think God, you only need freedom of speech laws because it includes the freedom to insult or offend? Because if it wasn't insulting or offending anybody, then it wouldn't need any protection. It would just be accepted. I mean, that's such a simple idea, and the fact that you have to repeat that every goddamn time is just sickening. Oh yeah, okay, now look what it's highlighting. Yo, 2 women stabbed at Eiffel Tower in apparent racist attack. It was a bigoted attack. Yeah, we highlighted that here. We called it that. That was disgusting. We did it on Atheist Republic shortly after it happened.
It's no surprise that it was only last week that 2 Muslim women were stabbed under the French symbol of liberty, the Eiffel Tower, as the attacker shouted "dirty Arabs." Free speech simply does not exist in absolute form.
What are you talking about? What has it got to do with free speech? This was a disgusting attack on some people. It has nothing to do with free speech. It was a crime, and the people who did it should be punished for their crimes. What has it got to do with free speech?
Does not exist in absolute form. And no society.
What does that got to do with free speech? Oh, I get it. He's saying that if you have the freedom to insult and offend, it's going to lead to this. Oh, he thinks this is the natural result of people insulting. No, you idiot. It's actually the other way around. It's actually the other way around. If you don't let people express their frustration with a set of ideas, if you shut you people coming up with laws and regulations and standards that makes people not be able to express their ideas, you're fueling the far right people by doing crap like this, you moron. The far right bigots who actually wanted this more of you, they want cancel culture. They want people not to be able to express themselves. That fuels them. They love the woke dogma. They like the leftists that constantly want to come up with censorship ideas, because that fuels their narrative. The far right grows on standards and laws and regulations that makes people get frustrated in the things that they cannot say, because their main promotion, their main way of getting more followers and more people that join them is by highlighting the fact that their ideas are not, they can't say what they want to say, and they cannot express themselves, right? And they provide their community as a safe haven for people that think that the whole world has turned against them, and that's how they grow. And you trying to get French or American or German or British governments to limit freedom of expression of the people who want to insult your religion just adds fuel to the far right fire. And guess what? When you do that, then France, UK, Germany, United States, Canada is going to be a much less friendly place for Muslims. You don't know what's best for you. You goddamn idiots.
No surprise that it was only last week that 2 Muslim women were stabbed under the French symbol of liberty, the Eiffel Tower, as the attacker shouted "dirty Arabs." Free speech simply does not exist in absolute form. and no society will function effectively if it attempts to do so.
Absolute form. Okay, there is no absolute form. Like, what are the limitations? Oh, here. See, guys, I told you this is gonna be. They constantly use this. They constantly use this. EU is so stupid that this has been outlawed in the UK. God damn it! In the EU. This will constantly, guys. This needs to be legalized. This will constantly, guys. EU is supposed to be the champion of Enlightenment values, and they outlawed this. And it constantly is hurting us when it comes to promoting freedom of expression. This needs to be legalized. Denying the big H needs to be legalized.
Societies across the world have laws to limit speech harming religious minorities, and France should be no exception. Yet despite this, Muslims are still required to tolerate and even celebrate the freedom of others to insult the dearest man to their hearts.
Nobody is forcing Muslims to celebrate it. Nobody's forcing them. You're full of crap. Who's forcing them to celebrate this? You're full of crap. Tell me, where in France do Muslims not to get to complain about French laws and French values? You mentioned this, and you haven't given a single example yet.
Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Lastly, let it be known to France's leadership and Mr. Macron, we see right through your hypocrisy, and every reasonable person of sound mind and intellect can see it too. The hypocrisy you espouse is shameful and embarrassing, and quite frankly, nothing more than a smokescreen to hide all the governmental failures your leadership has suffered.
This is a standard thing everyone go to. Guys, here's the trick, okay? Every government right now is dealing with things that they haven't solved. Whether good ones, bad ones, mediocre ones, every single government, okay? So here's the standard attack that you can make against every government that is addressing any issue, right? Go look at the problems that they haven't solved and be like, and then look at the things that they're doing that you don't like, right? And you just say, here's a standard attack on the government, right? Oh, you're just doing this to distract people from your failure to do that. It's such an easy attack. I mean, sometimes it's true, but you could do that with any policy that is being passed. Katie is saying, do you think the backlash against France will lead to them decriminalizing flag burning and big H denial? My God, I hope so. They might rethink their position and come to a more consistent position. I don't think that's going to happen, but I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong. I hope they do. I think the Jewish community will have a say if they do try to do that. I think unfortunately, the Jewish community is going to be a major backlash from them. Unfortunately, it seems like the trend is going the other way around. Like the people who are saying that these things should be freely expressed, like Mark Zuckerberg, right now he's like bending the knee, and even him is saying, "Okay, fine, we're going to ban." So it seems like unfortunately the trend is moving in the other direction. I hope that it stops. Maybe he's referring to the ban on Terry apologetics. I don't know. I don't think so.